guys, so in this week's PhantomCave video, we're going to be having a look at it's My Collections episode 17, and let's get into it, people. We've got a lot to talk about, a lot of books to talk about, and the first book that we're going to be talking about is the 2018 Phantom Annual. So it's a story, it's cover art by legendary artist Antonio Lemos, and back in 2019 I got it signed by him, but obviously he didn't have a good pen on him, so it's a bit smudged. So this Phantom Annual, it's a Phantom Annual to do with Goes West. It's basically Wild West Phantom. It's Wild West Phantom. Wild West Phantom. Wild West Phantom. So the first story that we have with us today is The Wagon Master. Yeah, it's an old Phantom story. Now, back when I was reading this, I haven't read it for a long time, this book in particular. I simply, like every year on when the annual comes out, I'm very excited. And that's the same with the Christmas special. I'm very excited when the Christmas special, the annual comes out, because it's most of the time stories, or like you get more stories and you get to spend more time on the Phantom than you would in the rest of the year. So I like it. First 3 or first 5 or 4 stories in this book are basically a prequel, the During story, and a sequel to it. So yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. And so we have another story. It's an Indian Hater. This is the first time it's going to be published in Australia by a few publications. Yeah, I love when the old Scandinavian stories come out. Just so good. So very damn good. Love it. Because I say this a lot. I say this a lot on the channel. When a Scandinavian story comes out, I get excited for it. But I most of the time when a Scandinavian story comes out, I am all goes for it. And I love Scandinavian stories. Now, that said, some Scandinavian stories, say like the last couple of years, like the first couple of years basically, I was reading Scandinavian stories. That was mostly what I was reading, and I was loving it. Now, I've said this in the past, but I think that some Scandinavian stories that I might not like, but that is rare. I rarely see a Phantom comic that I don't, or I rarely see a Phantom story or Phantom artwork that I really do not like it. That's rare that I actually see that. Like the last story that I quite thought was average was in the Giant Size Phantom number 16. Now that video will be coming out very soon, but that was Sir Falcon. I thought the artwork was rushed. I thought the story and the artwork didn't go hand in hand with each other, and that's just my opinion on it. Now, the story before that was, don't get me wrong, it's a good story. Well, the artwork, let me say that. So, Coming Storm was published last year. It's a 2-part series in the news story, and it introduces a probably first appearance with a Phantom, but the character that was in it, it's Raven. So, Raven's one of my favorite characters in the world, and the first part, let me tell you, it's average. The first part, I just couldn't get my head around it. I couldn't get my head around how, and plus the artwork on it just, I didn't see how the artwork went hand in hand with the story. But when part 2 came out, I realized part 2's part 2 was quite good. I liked it. But part 1, I just didn't like it. Just wasn't me. So we'll continue on with this 2018 annual, because two years ago we had the 2019 annual come out, and that was like a few months ago. In 2019, obviously, no, the 2019 annual would have came out a couple of months ago, and that would have been in that year. But the 2019 annual was basically, it was The Phantom Goes to War. It published war stories, and a lot of people loved that annual. So it's pretty cool. I quite enjoy when I get the Phantom annuals. I get the Christmas specials, and yeah, it just gets in my heart, and I'm allowed to read a longer Phantom book. Doesn't go as quickly. The enjoyment doesn't go as quickly. Yeah, it's good. Phantom Ranger, published in Giant Size Phantom. Yeah, this is a while ago, but still, it's a very good book. We also have a Phantom Ranger story in this. Back in the saddle again at Few, in a brand new story from Italian master Romando Feldman. So good. So very damn good. Now, the extras that came with this, back in those days, we had Kid Phantom mask, which have not worn since I actually got the comic. That's just funny. It's not funny because I love Kid Phantom, but still, I haven't worn it, and I think it'd be a collectible edition at some stage in everyone's life. You get a collectible they can share with your rallies or something like that, or your cousins, something like that. We have the Royal Prisoner, number 26, and this comic was actually the last ever issue that would come out before the 2019 annual, because that was The Phantom Goes to War. It printed the 4 parts of Phantom Goes to War, and that's why they skipped it in, I think, 2020 or something like that. But we got a Phantom replica in 2021 or something, and seriously, I tell you, I don't read these. I do not read the replicas. Too much. I have too much time to waste on these replicas. Plus, most of the stories in these replicas you probably already read before. But still, good addition to the 2018 annual. And the next story that we will be having a look at is Diana in the Jungle Patrol. Now, the number for it is 1804. It has Heart of Darkness Chapter 4, Episode 2, and the cover artist for this one is, as you can tell, Jeremy McPherson. So, Diana in the Jungle Patrol. Diana in Jungle Patrol. What am I talking about? Well, it's a story. It's a story first published by Semic Press Scandinavia in number 6, 1973. So this story, let me just hold on a second before I show you it. This story was actually one of the main reasons, obviously, the Phantom trading card got made in Scandinavia. And a lot of fans with the Scandinavian stories, the Phantom merchandise that's coming out nearly a lot these days, they like to have something that you can treasure, but they also like to have something so they can read it, or they can basically play with it. They can basically, that's the same with the board game. you can play it. You can play it with your friends or you can play it with your family, and you still get the enjoyment out of it. That's a lot. That's what I like to see when I see merchandise. If you can do something with your hands, if you can do something with your hands, or have your brain getting that stimulation of reading something or looking at something, then that's pretty damn good. So the story is done by, I think it might be Morris. And it's also done by Jamie Valvey, who is a great artist. Great Sweden artist. I can't remember too much of this story, actually. But still, it's a good story. I think it's a good story. I think it's a good story because Diana is one of those. Lee Falk actually said, he once said that he wanted to make sure that comics that introduced a female figure got the recognition and got the spotlight that they deserved. Now, Lee Falk was real big on making sure that female characters had enough spotlight and was in the frame multiple times. He made sure that female figures or female characters in each story had a purpose, basically. That last comment, which because that was back in the 1930s and late or mid 1930s, 1936, he made sure that female characters had a role, I guess, but they also had their own spotlight and had their own stories in it. So yeah, it's good. Hope no one takes offense to that, the second last comment. It's not supposed to be rude or anything like that. So yeah. And then we go into Heart of Darkness, chapter 6. Chapter 6, part 2. And I've been liking this story. I haven't seen few actually publish the last part, I don't think. Because it's art. This story is art by Joan Boyce. It's, I think, Ray Murphy. I think it's Klaus Ray Murphy or something like that. And he's a whiz at everything. He's a whiz at writing stories and phantom stories in general. So back in these days, we had the trade paperback #1 out on sale. It has 212 pages, full color, and obviously I have it. And it's worth. You can get it for $24.95 at phantomcomic.com.au. And if you basically this trade paperback is to get people in line with what the Phantom is and the Phantom does, and it's also to do with the myths, the logic, the mythology, and the superstition that goes around the Phantom and his characters. Basically, it's people who've not read the Phantom and want to come in late. So that's the back cover done by Jeremy McPherson and his colorist Thomas Mason. And if you would like to subscribe to the PhantomCave YouTube channel, hit that subscriber button. And as always, like, share, comment, and as always, keep Phantom Caving, and we'll see you next time on the PhantomCave YouTube channel. See yous.